What if the path you swore you'd never take becomes, well, the only way you see to protect the ones you love?
Hmm.
It's a question that really uh, cuts right to the heart of loyalty, family, and those profound, sometimes irreversible choices that define us.
Absolutely.
Today, we're embarking on a true deep dive. We're getting into one of cinema's most enduring, most influential works, a story so rich, so layered, it really redefined an entire genre.
No question.
We are, of course, talking about Francis Ford Coppola's epic The Godfather.
A masterpiece, truly.
And our mission for you today, it isn't just, a plot summary, not at all. Instead, we're going to unpack the dense, masterful source material you've provided. We're aiming to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the real insights.
Right.
We'll guide you through the intricate, often brutal world of the Corleone family, helping you understand not just what happens on screen, but why it resonates so deeply, even decades later. And maybe uncover some surprising layers, about human nature, about cinematic craft that lie just beneath the surface. Get ready for some real aha moments, hopefully.
I think so. And, The Godfather, it's more than just a film. It's become this cultural touchstone. It's widely, and I think rightly, regarded as one of the greatest cinematic achievements ever, period.
Yeah.
Stands alone because it just completely transcended that traditional gangster genre. It wasn't just about crime and violence, although there's plenty of that.
Oh, yeah.
It delved into something far more profound. Things like the psychology of power, the complexities of family dynamics, the intoxicating allure of tradition, and, critically, the moral compromises that come with wielding absolute control.
Yeah, the cost.
Exactly, the cost. So in this deep dive, we'll move beyond just the plot points. We'll look at the film through the lens of its core themes, trace those profound character transformations, especially Michael Corleone's journey, to really understand its enduring power, its moral ambiguities, and the honestly chilling insights it offers into the human condition under extreme pressure. It's just a masterclass in storytelling, and we're going to explore how Coppola did it.
Okay, let's dive right in. Let's unpack those very first frames. The film opens, it tells us right away, 1945, and it immediately immerses us in this world steeped in tradition, unspoken rules. We're at this lavish, joyous wedding. It's Connie Corleone, Vito Corleone's only daughter. There's music, dancing, laughter, a really vibrant Italian-American celebration. It feels authentic.
It really does. But almost immediately, Coppola layers this festive atmosphere with something far more serious, something darker, deeply ingrained in the family's existence. It's this powerful, almost unsettling contrast right from the start. It sets the tone for everything.
Yeah, that duality is there immediately.
What's truly fascinating, I think, is how swiftly the film establishes the unique power dynamic of Vito Corleone and his whole community.
Yeah.
The source material you provided emphasizes that crucial Sicilian tradition. On his daughter's wedding day, a father simply cannot refuse a favor.
Right, that specific detail.
And it's not just like a quaint custom. It immediately defines Vito Corleone, not just as a crime boss, but as this respected, almost revered figure, a don. Someone who embodies let's say, a singular form of justice.
His own justice.
Exactly, his justice. It's a parallel system, operating outside the law, but with its own strict code, its own undeniable authority. This tradition, this expectation of the Don's role, it immediately establishes the core philosophy of the Corleone family. Family and loyalty are absolutely paramount.
Everything.
And the Don is the ultimate arbiter. He's the one you turn to when, the conventional systems have completely failed you. It's the very bedrock of their power.
And you see that power in action right away, don't you? With that parade of petitioners, one by one, people approach Vito in his dimly lit office while the party's going strong just outside the window.
Their contrast again.
Yeah. They're seeking his intervention, looking for justice, sometimes revenge, or just favors that only he can grant. The most memorable, probably, is Mario Puzo, the Undertaker.
Powerful scene.
He comes to Vito, his voice just trembling with this mix of despair and quiet rage. His daughter's been brutally assaulted, and the legal system, the police, the courts, they've completely failed him.
Utterly.
So he's looking for Vito to exact vengeance, to do what the official world can't or won't. This isn't just exposition, is it? It's a living demonstration of Vito's influence, the deep-seated trust, or maybe it's profound fear he inspires.
Could be both.
Could be. The reverence they show him, the quiet solemnity of those exchanges, it just underscores his unique position. He's a patriarch, but also kind of a parallel sovereign.
And beyond just establishing Vito's unique position, that opening sequence is just a masterclass in character introduction. It immediately gives us the key players who are going to drive this whole narrative, shape the family's destiny.
Sets everyone up.
Exactly. You meet Sonny Corleone first, the eldest son, the underboss. His hot-headed, impulsive temperament is apparent right from the get-go. You can almost see the volatility simmering just beneath the surface.
Oh, yeah. He reacts immediately to Bonacera's story.
With explosive anger, yeah. Which contrasts so sharply with Vito's calm, measured response. And this defining characteristic of Sonny's, his inability to control his emotions, as we'll find out, plays a critical, even fatal role later on.
And there's Fredo.
Ah, Fredo,
Wow.
middle son. Portrayed as weak, maybe ineffectual, certainly timid. His initial portrayal subtly hints at his profound struggles within this demanding, ruthless family structure, as a struggle that defines his tragic arc, really. Makes him kind of a perpetual outsider within his own bloodline.
And then, maybe most importantly for the story's arc, there's Michael.
Michael.
Yeah?
Yeah. The youngest son. He's a decorated war hero, just
Wow.
back. And at this point, he explicitly wants a life completely separate from the family's criminal dealings. He makes that very clear.
He brings his girlfriend, Kay Adams, to the wedding. She's an outsider, completely alien to this world.
And her perspective is crucial for us, the audience. She represents our own initial distance from this dark underworld and the moral choices it demands.
Right, she's our eyes in that moment.
Yeah. And Michael, standing apart from the family's core activities, even tells her directly, with real conviction, in that now iconic line, "That's my family, Kay. It's not me."
Such a crucial line, because here's where it gets really interesting, right? This is Michael's starting point. This earnest desire to remain separate, this man of integrity, of civilian life, it's such a vital contrast to where he ends up.
Oh, absolutely.
It offers this poignant commentary on destiny, the powerful pull of lineage. It immediately begs that important question for you, listening. Can one truly escape their origins? Or are we inevitably drawn back into the currents of our past, our family's legacy, no matter how hard we fight?
It's the central question for Michael, isn't it? And let's not forget Tom Hagen,
The consigliere.
the consigliere. He's the adopted son, the family advisor. His unique position, both trusted family member and professional counsel, is established right away. He's the calm, logical voice in the Corleone inner circle. A necessary balance, really, to the more volatile members like Sonny.
The cool head.
The cool head. The film often shows him as the bridge between the criminal underworld and the quote-unquote legitimate world. It demonstrates that the family's operations aren't just about brute force. There's careful planning, legal maneuvering, cultivating political influence. He embodies the intellectual, the strategic arm of the Corleone enterprise. And his role becomes increasingly vital when things start to fall apart.
So, okay, this seemingly peaceful wedding with all its traditions, its family bonds, it quickly gives way to the stark, brutal reality of the Corleone business. A new player emerges, kind of from the shadows, bringing a proposition that's going to shatter the fragile peace Vito has so carefully built.
Yeah, the disruption arrives. This is Virgil the Turk, Sollozzo, and he represents a dangerous shift in the criminal landscape.
Oh, so?
Well, Sollozzo is introduced not just as any criminal, but specifically as a drug dealer. He's backed by the rival Tattaglia family, and he represents this new, more aggressive, purely profit-driven form of organized crime. His proposal to Vito is straightforward, but it's loaded with implications.
Right, the narcotics deal.
Exactly. He wants the Don's support, his political connections, to establish a massive narcotics business. This isn't just a casual business proposal. It's a pivotal moment, a direct challenge to Vito's established order, his whole definition of power. It's a real clash between the old ways and this rapidly emerging, far more ruthless future.
And Vito's refusal is absolutely key here. He explicitly rejects Sollozzo's offer. He states pretty clearly that drugs are a dangerous and dishonorable trade. But his reasoning, it isn't purely moral, is it? It's deeply strategic. Vito understands that getting involved in the drug trade, with its inherent volatility, the public outcry it would generate. It would jeopardize his painstakingly built network of political allies, his legitimate influence cultivated over decades.
To power base.
Exactly. He recognizes that while the profits might be huge, the cost to his political capital, his carefully managed reputation, that semblance of respectability he maintains, it would just be too high. This highlights Vito's old world code of honor, yes, but also his pragmatic foresight. His commitment to a certain kind of criminal enterprise, one with boundaries, one that seeks a degree of public acceptance, even within its illicit world.
He prioritizes long-term stability over that quick, short-term gain, which is a fundamental difference from Sollozzo. And this is a critical point, where that overarching theme of tradition versus change really comes into sharp focus. Vito's refusal isn't just about his personal feelings about drugs. It's about preserving a certain way of life, that specific network of influence, his very definition of honor, even within the criminal underworld he commands.
He sees the long game.
He sees the long game, the sustainability of his power, which relies heavily on that degree of public acceptance and political leverage. If you connect this to the bigger picture, it starkly contrasts Vito's strategic, long-term thinking with Sollozzo's purely profit-driven, almost reckless, short-sighted approach. Sollozzo only cares about the immediate gain, regardless of the devastating consequences for the broader criminal ecosystem or, frankly, the social fabric of the city. He's a harbinger, really, of a new, more brutal era in organized crime.
And Sollozzo's response to the refusal is, well, it's swift and it's brutal. He doesn't hesitate.
Not at all.
After Vito says no, Sollozzo immediately retaliates. He has Vito shot right out in the open, leaving him critically injured. This act of violence, it isn't just a personal attack on the Don. It's a bold, unambiguous declaration of war.
Changes everything.
It fundamentally changes the landscape for the Corleone family. It shifts them from this position of, unchallenged control to one of immediate vulnerability, a desperate need for retaliation. That carefully constructed peace is just shattered. Chaos descends.
And the escalation doesn't stop there. Simultaneously, Sollozzo kidnaps Tom Hagen, the family consigliere.
Right, another calculated move.
Exactly. It's not just more violence. It's cold, calculated strategy. Sollozzo uses Tom as leverage. He pressures him to convince Sonny, the acting boss now, to accept the drug deal. He's aiming to exploit the family's immediate vulnerability with Vito down.
He thinks he can force Sonny's hand.
He thinks he can. Sollozzo, mistakenly, believes that by removing Vito and applying pressure through the logical consigliere, he can force the hot-headed Sonny into a quick, favorable decision. But what's fascinating here is Sonny's reaction. Despite his notorious temper, his overwhelming grief and rage, he temporarily agrees to a meeting.
Buy some time.
It shows a momentary flash of his practical, strategic side. It allows him to buy crucial time for the family to regroup, to plan their next move, even as his rage is just boiling right beneath the surface. It's a glimpse, maybe, of the Don he could have been if only he'd had his father's patience.
So this is where things get really intense, right?
Yeah.
Vito's miraculous revival against all odds that immediately undermines Sollozzo's entire plan. It signals to the whole underworld that the Corleones are not going down easily.
Huge blow to Sollozzo's strategy.
The war has begun in earnest, and the reluctant son Michael is suddenly forced into a corner. This leads to that shocking, irreversible turning point in his life. Michael, just concerned for his father, goes to visit him at the hospital.
Just as a son.
Just as a son. And he makes this terrifying discovery. The guards assigned to protect Vito have mysteriously vanished.
Chilling moment.
He instantly realizes another assassination attempt is imminent. His father is completely exposed. It's a moment of incredible suspense, this quiet, almost domestic setting suddenly charged with deadly peril.
Exactly. And this is the moment when Michael's path truly diverges. Those initial cracks start forming in his carefully constructed civilian life. He doesn't hesitate. He takes immediate, decisive action. He stands guard himself, moves his father to another room for safety.
And he gets help from Enzo the baker.
Right. Enzo, this loyal baker, shows up out of pure respect and love for Vito. It's a small but profoundly significant act of loyalty from such an unexpected source. It's a poignant moment, I think. It shows the deep respect, maybe even love, that people outside the core criminal hierarchy have for Vito. And it also highlights Michael's innate courage, even before he fully embraces the family's world. He steps up.
But the danger isn't over. Captain McCluskey arrives. He's a corrupt police officer, clearly on Sollozzo's payroll.
The dirty cop.
Yeah. He shows up, pretending to protect Vito, but really his goal is to remove Michael and facilitate that second assassination attempt. When Michael tries to intervene, tries to protect his father, expose McCluskey's complicity, McCluskey just punches him hard, breaks his jaw.
Vicious.
And this isn't just a punch. It's a crucial, pivotal catalyst for Michael. It's a direct, visceral affront to his clean life, his civilian identity, his inherent sense of justice. It's a physical violation that shatters his detachment, awakens something dormant, something ruthless within him. It's the ultimate insult to his personal honor, and it pushes him right across a threshold he never intended to cross.
That punch, I agree, marks a profound and irrevocable shift for Michael. This is the precise moment his path away from the family is altered forever. It's no longer just about some abstract idea of family loyalty. It's now deeply personal. It's about affront, survival, and a raw need for retribution.
It becomes real for him.
It becomes utterly real. Soon after, despite having been this clean-cut outsider, this decorated soldier who explicitly rejected the family business, Michael volunteers to kill both Sollozzo and McCluskey.
The unthinkable.
He makes the cold, rational argument that it's the only way to protect the family, the only way to eliminate the direct threats and end the war decisively. Now, this raises that important question for you again. Is it truly an act of protection? Or is it the first definitive, conscious step in his descent into the very world he had so vehemently rejected?
Protection or corruption.
Right. It's a powerful illustration of that theme of power and corruption. It shows how even the most reluctant individual can be pulled into violence, into those morally ambiguous choices required to wield power. And sometimes, as with Michael here with chilling calculation, his decision isn't born of passion like Sonny's would be. It's born of cold, hard logic.
And the execution of this decision, it's one of those iconic scenes in cinema history. The Louis' restaurant scene.
Unforgettable.
Michael, Sollozzo, McCluskey. They're meeting, supposedly, ostensibly, to discuss a truce. The tension in that scene is just, it's almost unbearable.
Palpable.
Before the meeting, Clemenza has cleverly hidden a gun in the bathroom. Michael excuses himself, goes to retrieve it. You can practically feel his internal conflict, his fear, but also this growing, chilling resolve. The camera just lingers on his face, showing the weight of that decision.
Coppola holds that shot.
He returns to the table, and then in a moment of shocking, unexpected, utterly brutal violence, he shoots both men dead. This act isn't just brutal, it's calculated, it's cold, executed with this deliberate precision that is such a stark contrast to Sonny's hot-headedness. This is the moment Michael Corleone becomes a killer.
No turning back.
No turning back. Immediately after, Michael flees to Sicily, now a hunted man. This act didn't just protect his father, it fully immersed Michael in the brutal realities of the family's criminal dealings. His destiny is sealed now, his old life is gone.
And while Michael is in exile, trying to escape the immediate consequences, the spiraling violence back home, tragedy strikes on multiple fronts. And these events, they reveal the pervasive nature of betrayal, both from within and outside the family. They really highlight the heavy price of power, the corrosive impact of this life.
So in Sicily, Michael's hiding out under the protection of family associates. He seems to find maybe a semblance of peace, of quiet. He even falls in love. He marries a beautiful local woman, Apollonia.
A moment of hope.
Maybe. This period, this relationship, it seems to symbolize an attempt at a new, different life. A dream, perhaps, of escaping the darkness he's plunged into. It's this fleeting glimpse of innocence, of what might have been.
But that illusion is just brutally shattered. Apollonia is tragically killed by a car bomb. A bomb that was meant for him.
Devastating.
It's an act of sheer, senseless devastation. And this loss, it isn't just random violence. It's a direct result of the ongoing war back in New York. And what makes it particularly heinous, particularly painful, is that it was arranged by traitors within the Corleone family itself. Specifically, Fabrizio, one of his own bodyguards in Sicily.
The ultimate betrayal.
Her death isn't just a personal tragedy for Michael, though it is profound. It's this deep betrayal that further hardens him. It cements his transformation into a man driven now by vengeance, by an unyielding commitment to his family's survival, no matter the cost, no matter who must be sacrificed along the way. Any remaining softness seems to vanish there.
And back in New York, while Michael is away dealing with that, the consequences of Sonny's hot-headed nature finally lead to his ultimate demise. We see the family drama unfold. Connie, Michael's sister, is being violently abused by her volatile husband, Carlo Rizzi.
Yeah, that subplot is crucial.
Sonny, ever the protective, impulsive older brother, reacts with these explosive, violent outbursts. He publicly beats Carlo severely twice.
Loses control.
Completely. It demonstrates his fierce, unwavering loyalty to family. Sure, that's a Corleone trait. But it also highlights his defining characteristic. His inability to control his temper, his quick fuse. It's a fatal flaw in their world. He's driven by pure, unfiltered emotion.
No calculation there.
None. So when Carlo abuses Connie yet again, and you get the sense Carlo knows exactly how Sonny will react, Sonny's anger just boils over into this blinding rage. He rushes out alone, enraged, to confront Carlo, despite Tom Hagen pleading with him to be careful.
Walks right into it.
Walks right into a meticulously set trap. He's ambushed and killed at a toll booth in this brutal, horrifying hail of gunfire. His body just riddled with bullets. It wasn't random. It was a carefully orchestrated hit set up by Carlo himself in collusion with the rival Barzini family.
The ultimate setup.
What's fascinating, tragically fascinating, is how Sonny's defining trait, that impulsiveness, that uncontrollable rage, becomes his undoing, his Achilles heel. It's such a stark contrast to Michael's increasingly calculated, cold moves. If you connect it to the bigger picture, it just shows the profound vulnerability of even the most powerful individuals when emotions cloud judgment. It demonstrates that in their world, strategic thinking and cold calculation almost always trump raw power and hot-headedness. It's a hard lesson, learned through immense tragedy.
And Vito, heartbroken by Sonny's brutal death, despite his own profound grief, makes a crucial strategic decision. He agrees to make peace with the other families.
Which seems counterintuitive, maybe?
It might seem like weakness, but it's not. It demonstrates his long-term vision, his tactical genius, even in the depths of sorrow. He understands that just continuing the war blindly would only lead to more losses, and ultimately, it could destroy his family entirely.
He sees the bigger picture.
Always. And in this moment of profound personal loss, Vito, with his immense wisdom, his decades of experience navigating this treacherous underworld, he correctly senses who the real enemy is. He realizes Emilio Barzini is the true mastermind behind the war, not the Tattaglias. They were just puppets, visible fronts for a deeper conspiracy.
He sees through it.
He sees through it. This reveals his profound understanding of power dynamics, his ability to see beyond the immediate players to the hidden orchestrators, and it chillingly foreshadows future events, setting the stage for Michael's eventual and equally ruthless consolidation of power. It raises another interesting question for you. How do true leaders, whether in crime or business, distinguish between those immediate visible threats and the hidden masterminds pulling the strings in the background? It's about seeing the true enemy, not just the obvious one.
So, with the family reeling from these devastating losses, Sonny gone, Vito, aging Michael, returns from Sicily. But he is absolutely not the same man who left.
Fundamentally changed.
He's no longer the reluctant outsider, the idealistic war hero who wanted nothing to do with this life. He is now someone profoundly changed, tempered by violence, by loss, by betrayal. He's prepared, maybe even compelled, to take on the mantle of leadership. The stage is now set for a true passing of the torch, a generational shift, and Michael begins his inexorable rise to power.
Upon his return, Vito, still the Don, but clearly preparing Michael for succession, starts to impart his final, crucial pieces of wisdom. He tells Michael specifically that Barzini will eventually try to approach him, but not directly. Barzini will try to make contact through someone seemingly close, someone trusted within their own inner circle.
A warning about betrayal from within.
Exactly. It's a final, vital lesson from the old Don. A masterclass in power dynamics, betrayal, and a chilling warning that prepares Michael for the ultimate power play to come. Vito actively begins grooming Michael to take over as Don, not just teaching him tactics, but subtly shaping his mindset, imparting that cold, strategic wisdom gleaned from decades of navigating this treacherous world. He sees in Michael the cold logic that Sonny lacked. He sees the perfect successor.
And then Vito Corleone, the legendary Don, passes away. He dies of a heart attack while playing in the garden with his grandson. It's a surprisingly peaceful, almost serene end for such a powerful, often violent figure.
Yeah, it's quite striking.
It's a death that stands in such stark contrast to the brutal lives he lived and the violent ends of so many he influenced, including his own son, Sonny. It's almost a moment of grace, a quiet exit for a man who casts such a long, indelible shadow. It allows him that brief moment, being just a loving grandfather before his final breath.
And Vito's death marks the complete succession. Now formally head of the family, Michael immediately begins to consolidate power. He's not just holding the reins, he's truly taking control. This is where his transformation really culminates. His plan is ambitious, it's forward-thinking for the Corleone enterprise. He intends to relocate the family business to Nevada and eventually transition it to completely legitimate operations.
The dream of legitimacy.
The dream. But, critically, he knows he must settle old scores first. He says that. This shows his blend of strategic vision for the future and the ruthless pragmatism required to secure that future. What's fascinating here is Michael's grand ambition to move the family legit, yet his method to achieve it is still steeped in the old ways. Violence, vengeance, a brutal settling of accounts.
The old traditions cling on.
They do. This highlights that complex interplay of tradition versus change. He desires to change the very nature of the business, move into the modern world, but the deep-seated traditions of vengeance and retribution still bind him. And, chillingly, He uses them as potent tools to achieve his new, modern vision. He can't simply abandon the old world. He must first master it, utterly dominate it, and eliminate its threats before he can move on.
And now, we arrive at the breathtaking climax of the film, a scene of incredible cinematic mastery that truly cements Michael's transformation, ties up all those loose ends in this chilling symphony of violence and calculated retribution. This is the baptism of fire, and it's just a masterclass in parallel editing.
The sheer brilliance of this sequence lies in its masterful cross-cutting. Coppola's directorial technique here, interweaving two seemingly disparate events, is just phenomenal. The film brilliantly cuts back and forth between Michael becoming the child's godfather during the baptism of Connie and Carlo's baby, a sacred rite of passage where he literally renounces Satan.
While simultaneously,
His men are carrying out the brutal, orchestrated assassination of all his enemies across New York. This chilling juxtaposition, it's a core element of the film's artistic genius. It's an incredibly powerful visual and thematic statement. It highlights the profound hypocrisy, the moral corruption at the heart of Michael's ascent.
sacred and profane side by side.
Exactly. On one hand, he's publicly embracing this spiritual role, a symbol of purity, of new beginnings. On the other, he's unleashing hell, orchestrating this bloody purge to consolidate his power absolutely. It really forces you to consider, does committing fully to one path always mean sacrificing another? Can you truly embrace absolute power without sacrificing your soul, or at least a significant part of it? It forces us to confront the moral ambiguity of his choices in the most visceral way possible.
And you see those assassinations unfold with terrifying precision, ruthless efficiency. Barzini, the true mastermind Vito warned about, is gunned down on the courthouse steps, fulfilling Vito's prophecy.
Just as Vito predicted.
Mo Green, the arrogant Vegas partner who dared to disrespect Michael, is shot right in the eye while getting a massage. A chillingly personal touch there.
Sends a message.
Oh, yeah. Other rival Dons are systematically eliminated in various brutal ways, shot in elevators, ambushed in their homes, killed by hidden explosives. It's a meticulously planned purge, a cleansing of all threats, executed with surgical precision. It shows Michael's cold, calculated, strategic mind at its most ruthless. The old order is just utterly dismantled in minutes. Michael's undisputed dominance is established.
And the consolidation of power is cemented not just with his external enemies, but crucially with those who betrayed the family from within. Michael confronts Carlo, Connie's husband, about his betrayal in setting up Sonny's death.
The final loose end.
The final, most personal loose end. Carlo quickly confesses, his pathetic attempt to save himself proving completely futile. This is a moment of cold, calculated justice within the family. Carlo is then brutally strangled in a car by Clemenza, a loyal Corleone enforcer. It's a stark reminder, betrayal within the family carries the highest possible price. And Michael, as the new Don, enforces this code with chilling absolute resolve. He tolerates no dissent, no disloyalty, period.
And the emotional cost of Michael's actions is immediately evident, isn't it? Connie, grieving, furious after Carlo's death, confronts Michael directly. She accuses him, screams at him about the murder.
Raw grief and accusation.
And despite Michael's calm, almost robotic assurance that Carlo's death was justified, she knows the truth. She sees the monster Michael has become. It's a raw, painful moment showcasing the human wreckage left in the wake of Michael's brutal path to power.
And then the film's final, iconic moment. It perfectly encapsulates Michael's complete transformation. Kay, still perhaps waiting for the good Michael, the war hero, to return, witnesses this chilling tableau. Michael's men come forward one by one to kiss his hand, addressing him with reverence. Don Corleone.
The ritual of power.
A profound gesture of absolute fealty. And as Kay watches, the door to Michael's office slowly, deliberately closes in her face. It's just devastating. It symbolizes her complete exclusion from his dark world, from the man he has now become, and from the brutal, unvarnished truth of his actions. This powerful visual encapsulates that theme of family and loyalty in its darkest, most twisted form, where even the closest relationships are ultimately sacrificed for power, and it shows the profound isolation that comes with absolute control. Michael has fully embraced the role, but look at the cost. He's alone in that room in a way.
So after all that, what does this all mean? Beyond the gripping story, beyond the masterful filmmaking, The Godfather delves into these profound themes that resonate far beyond the screen. That's why it cemented its place in cinematic history, right?
Absolutely.
At its core, it's this profound study in power and corruption. You see how even the reluctant Michael, who initially wanted nothing to do with the family business, is just inexorably pulled into this life of violence, of moral compromise. It demonstrates the corrupting influence of power, how it transforms even the most seemingly upright individuals into something, well, unrecognizable, a darker reflection of their former selves. The film really suggests that true power often requires a kind of Faustian bargain, where your soul is the price.
That's very well put. And another central, maybe the central theme is family and loyalty. It's the core of the Corleone philosophy, the bedrock of their existence, the source of their strength. But as the film brutally shows, it's loyalty that demands extreme sacrifices, often leads to brutal acts, and can tragically result in devastating betrayal from within, like with Carlo, or from trusted associates, like Fabrizio causing Apollonia's death.
It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A source of immense strength, but also profound vulnerability. The boundaries of family are constantly tested, constantly redefined by blood and consequence.
And then there's that persistent clash we talked about, tradition versus change. You see it in Vito's old world code, his careful dealings, contrasting so sharply with Sollozzo's purely profit-driven, ruthless approach to narcotics, that more modern, more volatile form of crime. And it's also vividly present in Michael's own journey. His ambition to move the family business to Nevada, go legit, yet still using the brutal, traditional methods of violence and vengeance to achieve that modern goal. It's this constant struggle to adapt and evolve while holding on to core principles and methods, even if those principles are, well, criminal in nature. The past, it seems, constantly pulls at the future. It shapes it, maybe even traps it.
Ultimately, The Godfather is widely regarded as one of the greatest films in cinematic history for all these reasons, and more. It didn't just tell a crime story, it redefined the gangster genre itself. It elevated it from simple narratives of crime to explore these rich, complex characters, dialogue that's become part of our cultural lexicon. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse, etc.
Instantly recognizable.
Profound moral dilemmas that just stick with you long after the credits roll. Its critical acclaim is undeniable. 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Its influence on storytelling, character development, and genre filmmaking is just immeasurable. Coppola's direction, the iconic cinematography, those deep shadows, the rich colors, Nino Rota's unforgettable score.
Yeah.
All these elements combine to create this timeless masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it raises that important question for us to consider. What makes a story truly timeless? How does The Godfather continue to speak to audiences across generations, even decades after its release? What's truly fascinating here, I think, is how the film isn't just about good versus evil. It's about navigating these different shades of gray, the complex interplay of love and power, and the difficult, often devastating choices that ultimately define a family's legacy. It encourages us, you, to look beyond the surface of what we define as power, and to truly see the deep, deep personal cost of wielding it.
We've really taken a deep dive today into the Corleone saga, exploring that intricate web of family, power, loyalty, all the things that make The Godfather such an enduring masterpiece. A film that continues to captivate and, challenge its audience.
We've seen how a single decision, sometimes a single punch, can set an individual on an irreversible path, and how the relentless pursuit of control can transform even the most reluctant individuals into something far different from where they started. The cost of their journey is immeasurable, both to themselves and certainly to those around them.
So as you reflect on Michael's journey, his chilling transformation from decorated war hero to feared Don Corleone, consider this provocative thought to leave you with. Can true power ever truly be attained, and maybe more importantly, maintained, without inevitably sacrificing the very things, the very people, the very principles you initially sought to protect?